One of the many reasons that it's a good idea to relocate to South America, or at least use South America as one of your economic flags, is because of China's involvement in building up the infrastructure of South America, which is the opposite of what the United States is doing, as many South American countries begin to distance themselves from the collapsing USA and aligning themselves with rising China. In this video, I will give you more information on why this is happening and how you can benefit from it. I am Caleb Jones, and this is Sovereign CEO. I help people just like you how to set up location-independent companies, move to a less bad country, or at least set up an international backup plan and do all these things for very little money. It is true, and I've said this many times, that in the last, I would say 3 years, China has done sort of a 180, or at least a partial 180, and it has moved from a very intelligent authoritarian oligarchy to kind of an irrational and dumb dictatorship. And so there are many things that China has done in the last 3 or 4 years, I would say 2 to 3 years, certainly during the cerveza sickness, and all the way to now, where you're kind of scratching your head going, China, why are you doing that? You're losing trillions of dollars. That doesn't make any sense. So that is very true, and I've discussed that in the past. At the same time, China is still rising while America, Canada, Europe, and likely Australia and New Zealand are collapsing. That is still the case. China is still on an upward trajectory. I will change my mind on this when I see China do the wrong things across the board for decades in a row, like the United States and like most of the Western world. So despite the fact that China is screwing up a lot lately, China will still own the world, or at least be the preeminent power in the world in the 21st century. That's just the way this goes. And one of the many reasons for this is that China is smarter about its foreign policy than the other superpower, the United States. The United States uses military power primarily. It bullies other countries, it invades other countries, it bolsters the military of other countries, whereas China builds an empire based on debt. And what they do, and I've talked about this in my blogs, which you can go to calebjones.com/blog, and it'll go to a small country, it'll go to the ruler of that country or rulers of that country, and it'll basically say, hey, we'll build you a new palace, we'll build you freeways, we'll build you a nice airport, and you just give us all of your mineral rights and resources and oil and, little things like that. And many of these countries take them up on that offer. And that's why when you go to places like Africa, when you go to places like Oceania and Fiji, you will see signs of China all over the place. This is all while the United States has all kinds of military quagmires like in Afghanistan and so forth. Well, how does this all relate to Latin America? Well, right now, China is involved in strategic technologies. They're involved in building 5G platforms in South America. They're involved in transportation infrastructure, freeways, management systems, highways, all kinds of bridges, all kinds of things like that. They are building military alliances in South America. They are building positive-based political relationships, which again is very different than the United States. As a matter of fact, let's do a little comparison. Of the 31 countries in the Latin world, 25 of them are now involved in infrastructure projects with China. Okay? Out of the 31 countries, how many are involved in infrastructure projects with the USA? 20, 18, 10, 7, 1, Panama Canal. That's about it. See the difference? Now, let me make a quick aside. I am a libertarian. I am a minarchist. I am for small government. I don't think any government that I'm paying taxes to should donate any money to any other country for any reason whatsoever. So I'm against this politically. I'm just telling you what is happening on the world stage and how you can exploit it. And what's happening is China is giving a lot of money to South American countries, and America isn't giving any or much less. I'll give you specific numbers in a minute. China, in my opinion, my political opinion, shouldn't give any money to anybody. Okay, so I'm making that clear to offset those comments of saying, Caleb, I thought you were libertarian. I thought you were against government spending. I am against government spending. The UAE, where I live, they don't pile millions of dollars on top of the heads of other countries. They just don't do that. Now, let me give you another difference in terms of how America handles Latin America and how China handles Latin America. What America does when they put on some kind of political summit with a bunch of foreign leaders, this just happened a little bit ago, is that they will basically bully these countries into respecting the American version of democracy. That's kind of their priority as Americans. Now, I could do a whole thing on that. I've written at my blogs in great detail how I'm actually against democracy. Democracy tends to have the highest taxes. If you want to pay the lowest taxes and live the most free life, you actually want to live in a country that is not a democracy. That's why historically, the top 2 ranked most free countries, or at least unfree countries, historically have been what? Singapore and Hong Kong. Neither of them are democracies as a Westerner understands the word. I have a lot of freedom here in Dubai, and this is a monarchy. So there you go. That's a topic for another time. But my point is, that's the focus of the United States when they do these political summits. When China puts on a political summit, they bring their checkbook and they basically start handing out wads of cash to build up the infrastructure of these emerging market countries, which is infrastructure they need to grow. So guess which one is much more popular on the world stage in terms of the emerging world? China or the United States? China by far. It's not even close. The Chinese come in and say, we'll build you hospitals. We'll build you freeways. We'll build you 5G cell towers. We'll build you all kinds of shit that's going to make you money. Whereas America comes in and says, you need to reform how you're voting, because that's not right. Who would you prefer if you ran a country? China. This is China's strategy in Africa. This is China's strategy in Central Asia with the One Belt, One Road project. This is China's strategy in Southeast Asia. This is China's strategy in Oceania. I've talked about before, whenever you go to Fiji, it's China, 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 everywhere. They're building everything. Australia too. And this is China's strategy in Latin America. What this means is that these Latin American countries are going to start growing economically much more quickly, again, as most of the Western world continues to collapse and get worse. By the way, if you like this content, you should subscribe to this channel, put a like on this video, click the dumb notification bell, and leave a comment on this video. Doesn't matter what you say. The more interactivity I get on this content, the more this content I will produce for you for free. And by the way, if you want to move to a Latin American country and you don't know how to get started, you can go to escapeplancourse.com. And that's my course called Escape Plan that shows you exactly how to move to another country, to escape your collapsing Western country and move to a less bad country, which is what I did. It's awesome. Now, not only is there a difference in the type of aid that these 2 superpowers offer countries like Latin America, but there's also a difference in the amount of money that is spent. For example, in Southeast Asia, in that region, the United States government has donated, foreign aid, whatever you want to call it, $150 billion or so in military aid, because again, that's what USA is all about. It's all about military stuff. What has China given them? $1.5 billion in infrastructure. This is going to happen in Latin America. As a matter of fact, it's happening right now. America will offer Latin America, peanuts as compared to China to build up their militaries, whereas China will build up their infrastructures at amounts that are 3x, 5x, 10x, or 20x more than America would ever consider spending. And again, I'm against this politically. America shouldn't do this. China shouldn't do this. But I don't live in a world of should. I live in a world of is, and that's what's happening. And if China is going to build up Latin America, I'm going to benefit from this. I'm not going to sit back and say this is terrible. I'm going to go make money. And you should too. This is why, as I've mentioned many times before on prior videos, every time I go back to Paraguay, and I'm about to go back to Paraguay next month, every time I go back to Paraguay, the infrastructure is noticeably better. When I drive from the airport to downtown Asuncion, there's less trash, there's less crappy buildings, there's more new buildings, the roads are a little bit better. Every time I go, there's noticeable visual improvements just by driving down a road. Whereas every time I go back to visit the collapsing USA, and it doesn't matter which city this is, the city looks worse. This is true in Florida with Miami. This is true in New York. This is true on the West Coast with Portland and Seattle. Every city I go to, just about in the United States, every time I go there, it's noticeably worse, including cities I really like Scottsdale. There's more trash, the roads are shittier, there's more problems, there's more noticeable problems on that drive from the airport to downtown or wherever you're going in the Western world, whereas countries that are building up their economies and getting help from places like China are doing better and better every year. I don't know about you, but I'd rather live in a rising country than a collapsing country. That doesn't make any sense to me. This is yet another reason why Latin America, South America specifically, is one of the best places you can relocate to avoid Western collapse. If you want more information on South America, you should watch this video right now where I do a deep dive on every country in South America and which ones I recommend and which ones I don't. See you in that video.